Hey guys, it's FLW Tour Pro Andrew Upshaw, and I want to talk about something that helps put a lot of extra fish in the boat for me, and that's flipping. Now, I'm not talking about your traditional flipping. I'm not your traditional flipper. I'm not your Greg Hackneys. I'm not your Denny Brars. I'm not going to use the big 65-pound braid, big rods, and all that stuff. Now, I will if I have to, and I'll be the first to tell you, I have all those rods, I have all those setups, I can do it if I need to. But I like to finesse flip, and in this case, I like to use, this is the Hack Attack fluorocarbon jig. And the Hack Attack fluorocarbon jig is still, you know, it ranges from a 3/8 an ounce, and maybe even a little larger. And I can still put this thing in a lot of really gnarly places, like scattered brush, scattered grass. It actually can go in and out of all those places just fine. But, you know, the cool thing about the fluorocarbon jig, and I'll kind of walk you through it a little bit. You know, it has a downsized hook from the original Hack Attack jig, but don't let that fool you. That hook is like crazy strong. But the cool thing about this hook is you can set the hook on like a medium heavy or a smaller heavy action rod, and even with braid if you really need to. But I actually will flip this on 15 to 17 pound fluorocarbon. As you can tell, this is a much more compact jig than the traditional Hack Attack, and I like a more compact jig. That's why it's really deemed more finesse flipping for me, because it's all about getting those extra bites. And when I finesse flip, I get a lot of extra bites. And what I say a lot, it might only be 3 extra bites or 4 or 5 extra bites. But you know what? Those add up in multi-day events, and that's what I look for. If you notice, I have a menace on here. This is about the one trailer I throw all the time on this jig. And I actually cut it down a little bit. I want this jig very, very compact. I want to be able to go in and out of cover, you know, but the thing is I use a traditional size menace, a regular size menace. It's like a 4-inch or 3.5 inch. And I want that little bit more exaggerated tail flap that menace gives you. And I also trim the weed guard. I think that's extremely important. As you can tell, I've already trimmed this weed guard. I trim about half of it away. I don't think you really need as much weed guard as it comes on there. But if you're in super heavy cover, make sure you leave that weed guard because you will get hung. But I'm talking about flipping more scattered vegetation, more scattered brush or rock, stuff like that. But like I said, I use 15, 17 pound fluorocarbon. In this case, I'm using the TP1 Black. It's a 7.2 medium heavy rod. I just love this rod. You know, it's just a great rod, has a great sensitivity, and a lot of that's due to the VTR, which is a vibration transfer ring. It's between the reel and the handle. It's right here. And it's actually direct contact with the blank, so you don't have to hold your line like this anymore to feel the bite. You can just hold that and you know if they bite it or not. And a super fast reel. This is a 7.5-to-1 hyper mag. I just like the hyper mag. I try to keep all my reels pretty similar. Most of the reels that I use throughout day in and day out is going to be the hyper mag. It makes life a lot easier if you do that. And you know what? The one thing that I always get is, man, I don't know about those round paddle knobs. But actually what I do, everybody tries to hold theirs on the end. I actually hold mine more on the inside, and it doesn't stretch your hands out as much. So you're more used to it if you hold it more inner side of that handle. And that's just a little tip for you. But the one last thing I'm going to say is color. You know, we all get so exaggerated with color. We always try to make it more complicated than it is. When I'm flipping, I use 2 colors. I either use black and blue or use green pumpkin. Those 2 colors can pretty much cover the spectrum. Now, I will change my trailer color. That's actually how you can switch it up, kind of more subtle, and you're going to get those bites. So, in this case, I have a matching black and blue Rage Menace, but you can actually throw a green pumpkin on there, or watermelon red. You know, change that up every once in a while, you know, because a fish in the water, or a crawdad, or something like that, isn't just 1 or 2 colors. Normally, it's like 3 or 4 colors. So, the more you switch that up, the more realistic it's going to look, and the more bites you're going to get. So if you get a chance and you're in a situation where you're catching fish flipping, try that Hack Attack fluorocarbon jig. Make it more compact. Switch it to about 17 pound fluorocarbon. And I promise you're going to catch fish on this thing. And you're going to be very impressed with it. Get you this Lew's TP1 Black. Get this set up and get to flipping.